back to Youth in Agriculture. Today we are coming to you from Isinya in Kajiado County, and on this second part we are going to focus more on the best management practices for cucumber farming, as well as give you tips on how you can be able to have access to the best market available. Come with me. And this crop, by the way, it looks very good. I think it's been able to manage its stress, being transferred to this particular greenhouse. What are the other preparations? Did you maybe add fertilizer? Did you put manure, compost? What have you done to this crop?
Your soil, the first thing you do is to test the power of your soil. Some soils have got more nutrients and other soils have less nutrients. So you should understand the strength of your soil by knowing how much nitrogen does it have, how much potassium does it have, how much, like that, all the micronutrients and macronutrients. After knowing that, you should now prepare the regime, prepare for your feeding of your plant. So the first thing I did, 2 weeks to planting, I took my soil to the government laboratory. They gave me a recommendation. I know my soil now, what it has. So when it comes to that plant, giving the fertilizers, I know exactly which kind of fertilizer is lacking in my soil and what capacity. So I prepared the soil, I did the test, even the source of my water. I tested the soil. The challenge we have here in Kajiado is that since we are using the soil, the water from the wells, most of the water from our wells are salty. So what we do is we test our soils. When we find that it's good for farming, we go on and look for a way of controlling the salts in the soil.
All right, so this crop is going to be here for how long before we can come finally and get some cucumbers?
Susan, this is a crop I can advise farmers to grow, because most of us do not really want to grow a crop that takes much long before you start pocketing something. So this crop takes 45 days.
Wow.
So exactly 1 month and 1.5 months you start harvesting. So that's where also the cost of production becomes low. So the shorter the period it starts to harvest, the better for the farmer. So it takes 45 days, you start harvesting. Yes.
We left something out, the cost of the seedlings and the entire process of raising the seedlings.
I want to give it a very, 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 very sweeping statement that the cost of production per kg of a cucumber is 10 shillings. That is labor involved, fertilizers involved, agronomy services involved, chemicals involved. It takes 10 shillings to raise 1 kg. And for example, this house has 2,000 plants. So it will cost you like 2,000 plants times 10 shillings to get your cost of production. It's very affordable. When you come to diseases, this is one crop that will manage, any farmer can manage easily. Because if you take care very well right from the beginning, you will really not have hard time in terms of diseases, in terms of pests. So this is the plant you need to know what to do week 1, week 2, the last week. Because I always advise my farmers that a crop needs an attention of its kind at a given age. So do not mix yourselves. If it's a fertilizer, we have a fertilizer for planting, we have a fertilizer for fruiting, we have a fertilizer for rooting. So a crop needs a specific attention at a given age. So when we understand that, this crop is very easy to manage. You will harvest it depending on the care you have given it. So if it can take 2 months, it can take 4 months, but remember, you will harvest until you reach the limit.
Okay, I would like you to deploy me to some task. I don't like coming to a farm and not do anything. I know you planted yesterday, but perhaps did you leave a portion for us?
I knew you were coming. At the end there, we have some portion we want to plant, so we'll come along.
Okay, let's go do some planting.
We have already opened our irrigation waters. the marks where we are going to plant has already been done. We have done the spacing of 45 centimeters apart, plant to plant.
The gap between this is 45.
This is 45. Gap between plant and plant is 45. But gap between row and row is 55 to 60 centimeters, roughly. So what you do, come early and make your preparation. You make holes, the markings. Then someone will be coming and dropping your plant near the hole. You can see this plant has some soil from the nursery. This is not our normal ordinary soil. This is the nursery soil, which is the cocoa pit or permaculite. There is a way they do it. So this soil is very important to the start of the crop. So make sure you do not lose this soil. So you handle it carefully. Make sure that this plant goes to the hole with the whole of it is soil. This soil is going to take care of the plant for at least 2 weeks to 1 month. But if you remove the soil and put it in the new soil, then the plant will get a lot of stress to start acclimatizing itself to the new soil. And in some cases, you lose the plant. Do not cover the soil above this soil, because it will develop a disease known as pythium, which comes out of the soil, the water coming, too much water coming into contact with the stem. So what you do, this is the soil, this is the hole we marked. You take back the water, the soil, make another new fresh hole, take it back, press it a little bit and leave it. Do you know why we press it? We press it such that to get the air pump, the airways outside the place to plant. So if you leave the air inside there, it will give way for more water to stand there and bring the waterlogging condition. Can I?
So now I make my hole.
Yes.
How should it be so deep?
It's enough. It's enough. Yes.
So I put it.
Yes.
I put back the soil.
Yes.
And I press it.
Yes.
Awesome.
You press it once and you are okay. That's very okay. So you take it back the way you have done it, and these are the drippers.
Yes.
Then open. You are okay. You will feel it, no problem. Then press it. That's okay. Perfect. We plant the crop minus the fertilizer. We give it like a week. We stress it. It develops roots. Then we top up with the planting fertilizer. In our case, the DAP, according to the.
That is after a day.
After a week.
After a week.
After a week, the crop is able to at least fight with the fertilizers. Still, even if it's 1 week old, you have to mix your soil with the fertilizer properly to avoid the burning. They burn, they have the scorching effect. You need to have someone you trust in your work from the nursery. In most cases, we do not advise farmers to do propagation for itself. The propagation work, the nursery work, has got its own knowledge, its own experts. A seed well done gives you more produce than a seed that you did for yourself. And again, a seed well done will give you so many parameters. When you look at this seedling, you can see the roots coiling everywhere. When you plant this seedling, this coiling of the roots will be looking for water in the soil. The more the roots you have, the more the crop is able to get from elsewhere, to get nutrients, to get water, and become a healthy plant. So we are not able really, with our small little knowledge, to make a seedling with all these roots. Much has been done by the propagators. So look for a propagator who is able to give you a seedling with enough roots, a seedling that has been well hardened, because when you forget maybe this seedling down for 2 or 3 days, you'll still find it alive coming back after 2-3 days. Why? Because the mother soil is able to keep some water for the plant for some time. So we really advise our farmers to give some work to the commercial propagators and those who have good knowledge about